Alrighty, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is LaughNgamez here. I'm back with another Starcraft 2 1 versus 1 bot AI cast. We have got ourselves what should be a good one here today, as it's going to be ANIBot, a bot featured on the channel quite frequently since it recently returned. And yes, taking on ANIBot is Deimos, one of the top Protoss bots. You can call it the top Protoss bot on the ladder right now, as -0 is off the ladder, taking a break until we get the bugs fixed in some of the new maps, and maybe get the full map pool, which is something I think everyone's very much looking forward to. And so yeah, Deimos, a stone cold killer as always. I mean, when it first came out, and it did very well on the ladder, climbed really high up there. It gets challenged a little bit here and there these days, and we'll just have to see how it does against ANIBot, which is going for Marine Cyclone Viking, which we saw it do very well with previously. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, as always, you guys are the best at it. Click that like button, click that like button, whatever it may be. If that button gets clicked, that is good. Leave a comment down below saying more bots as I read all your comments, and it helps us with the YouTube bot. And then subscribe if you haven't already, as we have daily videos here on the channel. If you want to get notified of the videos in another way, you can join the Discord. We've got a channel where the links to the videos are posted, if you're not someone that peruses YouTube all the time. And then, yeah, just big thanks to everyone that does support the channel via the YouTube membership program. Okay, we have got a Stargate on the way for Deimos. The thing that excites me in this game is that it's saying it's going to go Phoenix Colossus. Now, we know Cyclones are very darn good against units like Stalkers, but the question is, how good will they be against Phoenix? Deimos is a bot that does use Phoenix quite effectively. We'll just see whether it can use them effectively against Cyclones, because based off the description of the composition that ANIBot's going for, that's pretty much a Phoenix killing composition. Marines, Cyclones, and Vikings are the best anti-air units that Terran has. We do get a very nice start for Deimos, as the Adept manages to actually sneak on by, deny the completion of this natural base for quite a while, and SCV actually tries to run by. I'm not sure where that one was going, whether it was scouting or trying to resume that command center safely, but it does not get back on that command center. We've got the Adept shading all over the place. One of them quite injured, but the other one is sort of soaking the damage right now. And 2 Marines is something that Adepts can fight, so we'll see once those shades complete. Only one of them completes, so this other Adept is totally slacking right now. If they had actually taken that engagement, the Adepts could have won the fight there. But programming units to engage properly when there's a range discrepancy is quite difficult. Range on Marines is 5, range on Adepts I believe is 4, unless I'm mistaken and totally analyzing that situation wrong. Now we do get a Stalker for Deimos coming in, as the pressure is starting off very early in this game. Then all of a sudden 2 Phoenix roll on up, so the natural base is being challenged quite a bit. Looks like the Phoenix do lift up the Cyclone. The Cyclone very well could be repaired, and it is. A Marine then working away on that Phoenix. So the Cyclone stays alive, which is a big deal. Quite unfortunate for Deimos, because you do want to keep that Cyclone count as low as possible, but still a very good opening for the Protoss. We're just 4 minutes into this game. We've got 6 dead Marines, 2 dead SCVs, make that 7 dead Marines. And the delay on the command center was the really big part of this. Behind this, Deimos has got a 3rd Nexus going on up, so getting a nice worker lead and looking to expand it. The power of Protoss potentially chrono boosting workers off 3 bases is really, really strong. You may feel like you just get out macroed by Protoss sometimes if you're a Terran on the ladder, but really that does come down to the Protoss getting up a reasonably quick 3rd base, hitting the chrono boost on those probes, and just most importantly, consistently building those probes. Now, the Terran bot is getting more of these SCVs out. It does have a turret going up inside the main base to help counter the Phoenix. Not at the natural. It's definitely losing some resources here, though, investing in those turrets. It's not cheap. We are also getting high-sec auto-tracking. That's something that ANIBot does, one of the more quirky things, but understandable things, as it utilizes that in order to just have sort of blanket air defense. And that's a thing that a lot of bot authors do, which is just to have general programming or general decisions that take out a lot of the excessive legwork they may have to do when programming. This Immortal barely escapes one more shot from a Cyclone and it would have perished there. But luckily it stays alive. The two Phoenix are still alive. Interestingly enough, Deimos is actually transitioning, so it's a liar. It is not going Phoenix Colossus. I don't know why that is, but abandoning the Phoenix is an interesting choice. It's like, well, I mean, at this point in the game, if it hadn't built Stalkers, it could have like 10 Phoenix, which would be very powerful, but instead it's just going into a lot of gateway units. We've already got a 4th Nexus on the way, whereas ANIBot is just building its 3rd base on location. The 3rd has been identified. Deimos is going to try and crack the natural instead. Stalkers do get locked onto. They break the lock-on, but not before taking a lot of damage. Then there's another couple lock-ons. The Stalkers barely survive that. Some SCVs are even being pulled to repair these Cyclones as quickly as possible. Now Deimos is moving forward, trying to get on top of these units, but it's just a constant back and forth here as the Stalkers, they take damage, they have to retreat. If they try and dive on the Cyclones retreat, and that's the power of units under bot control, is they're never really caught out. Those Cyclones will always move away when there's an enemy nearby, so Deimos may just need critical mass or blink potentially to handle that. Blink can be very powerful. And let's see, we've got an armory on the way for ANIBot as it continues on with this Viking Cyclone Marine composition, and it's not like it's upgraded Marines or anything, so the Cyclones will be doing most of the heavy lifting in this game. Phoenix do find this 3rd base. Looks like ANIBot is already eyeing up a 4th to secure. There isn't a 5th for Deimos yet, but it is happily mining on 4 bases now. 81 probes. The production of Deimos is going to be incredibly high in this match. Stalkers are moving on forward. They are going to find some transferring workers, but there's the Cyclones coming on in, and there's the lock-ons. Magfield Accelerator deals so much damage in Starcraft 2 in this day and age. As, yeah, that lock-on just does incredibly high amounts of damage, and it's one of those situations. It's difficult for players to handle engagements into Cyclones, but it's very difficult for bots because they're just constantly skirmishing, which really plays into the Cyclone's strengths. And yeah, that lock-on ability is just so darn strong. Now, let's see here, as we do have a Phoenix flying around, looking to grab an SCV. They do actually get it. Turret gets some work done. Phoenix abandoned the lift there as Vikings come after them. Deimos has got a 5th base on the way. Deimos is going up to 5 robos, which just seems excessive. However, apparently that is how it's going to handle Marine, Cyclone, Viking. Immortals, like, they've got lots of HP, so they can actually soak a lot of damage with those shields, with the hardened barriers. And now Deimos is coming in, looking to put the pressure onto ANIBot. Stalkers actually blink forward. The Cyclones, though, immediately retreat, but before that retreat, they kill off so many units. The Immortals, at least with their barriers, can soak a lot of that damage, but man, oh man, these Cyclones sure seem strong under the control of ANIBot. How many have died? The answer is only 4 Cyclones have died, and they've just been killing everything. Holy cow, these things are very strong. As the Stalkers and Immortals try and break that lock-on, we do get a blink forward from Deimos. A lot of these Cyclones are injured up. A few of them are starting to go down. Yeah, that is just incredibly powerful. I'm gonna have to start building these bad boys in my ladder games, I think. I really miss the old Cyclone where it was like the machine gunner, but these things look pretty darn good that I may want to get into building them. Now, there is a 4th base up for ANIBot, so both these bots are in very strong economies. A 5th base is on the way. The more bases, the better it is for Terran, as they benefit more as they get more orbital commands for mules. Deimos is somehow affording to produce 5 immortals at a time. We're getting Tempest on the way behind this. I do think that the Protoss bot would be better off just trying to max out in this situation, but it is looking to poke forward. There is a lot of bases up for Deimos. One Phoenix is getting chased around the map by these Vikings, by these Liberators. The Marines are joining in too. The Cyclones cannot be bothered. But Deimos is staying back, which is important. It's also double expanding, which I really like. That's not something every bot does. That is double expand. A lot of bots will just be sequentially like one base, then another. That's how it works. Deimos taking 2 at a time. It's looking to keep that strong economy going. And taking 2 bases is a great way to do that. We do have Cyclones finding some Immortals. The Immortals pop those Cyclones off pretty quickly, so they're not dying for nothing. However, pressure is starting from ANIBot as some Marines and the Liberators are starting to hit this location. The Cyclones are one problem. The Liberators are another problem because Mass Immortal does not counter Liberators, so it's going to be on the Tempest in order to try and counter those, as Deimos does loop around and is going to be trying to save these Nexus. The Tempest definitely will help out as it pops off a Cyclone. There is 2 Tempests being produced at a time. Deimos has got +2, +1 on the way. 7 probes at a time, so it can definitely replace any losses it has. Unfortunately, this probe is so excited to build this assimilator that they ignore the Liberator of Death there. So hopefully Deimos can handle that. Otherwise, it will just become an endless probe grinder. Now there is, still that Liberator there. Immortal's eating some shots. Deimos is being engaged on the front lines as it loses a Tempest to the Vikings so that it actually can't just go back and handle that. We do have some of the Protoss army down here denying the 5th base of ANIBot, 5th base, 4th base, whatever you want to call it. But these Liberators are getting free shots off on the Immortals until they actually walk through those liberation zones. Stalkers are skirmishing with Cyclones, but now the production for ANIBot is really getting out of control as it's producing 5 Cyclones at a time, and we've seen how well these Cyclones can trade. The Vikings are dispatching the Tempest, so it really is a well put together composition for ANIBot. The Cyclones deal with the Stalkers, help out with the Immortals, then the Vikings handle really the one counter to these air units like the Liberators, the Tempest. So the Tempest are being engaged right now. They are kiting back as effectively as they can for Deimos. I mean, it's pretty much retreat and shoot and hope you outlast your enemy, so that Tempest does stay alive. These 2 bots are still skirmishing. This is a great game between them. ANIBot took a little damage with that base being forced off. It's now floating towards the bottom left. ANIBot is also trying to secure the bottom or the upper right, but it shall not take the bottom left as this location is already being built. As a Nexus is going up there, Deimos is looking to shut down this location. It, however, is not able to produce enough in order to keep up with these ridiculous trades that ANIBot is forcing upon it. I am curious if we'll be able to get out critical mass of Tempest. That's not something we've really seen against this composition of ANIBot yet. And the reason for that is these Vikings, they just keep engaging. The Tempest is running. That's a little bizarre, the fact that the Tempest is running from the Viking away from nothing. It should be at least shooting, I think, to try and take down whatever it can. Another Viking goes for a Tempest. So yeah, it's interesting that the Tempest runs from 1 Viking, but not from 2. And by run, I mean does a shooting retreat, whereas versus 2, it was just strictly running. So that's interesting math going on there. And let's see, we do have more Tempest being produced by Deimos. These bots are on neck and neck supply, so it's still quite close, all things considered. ANIBot does have a very strong economy, though. It is producing just 5 Cyclones, 3 Vikings at a time. There is a world in which that's not enough production, as ANIBot is a bot that doesn't have dynamic production. It's worth pointing out. Maybe it could be doing better with 1 or 2 extra factories right now and keep that bank at an absolute minimum and to be able to trade faster and better, but that's just one of the downsides of not having dynamic production. It's almost always enough, but In this case, maybe ANIBot could be spending that money a little better. It is getting some really nice engagements with these Cyclones, even using a scan to maintain the lock-on. Just maximum usage of those. There's not that many ground units left, so the Stalkers and Immortals may be able to hold the line. However, the Tempest are getting deleted by these Vikings. Stalkers blinking back under the Vikings, actually going to save the day there and keep some of those Tempest alive. There's only one Cyclone left, so now it's, well, okay, there's a few more coming out. There is 5 being built at a time after all, and we do actually get another factory on the way. So maybe I'm wrong when I said that ANIBot doesn't use dynamic production. Yes, it is good to see that, though, that it is adding on some more production. Deimos is trying to trade out as well as it can. Tempest can get some good efficiency if it doesn't get dived by the Vikings, and the Tempest really thrive in these smaller number engagements as they do have pretty good range. And so, yeah, these two Tempests are actually doing a lot of work here. They do need to kill off that Cyclone, and here comes in a Viking ready to help out. The Tempest are retreating. They're getting lock-on, though, and they shall go down to that as the skirmish continues on between these two bots. This base being worked on by this one killer Marine. It looks like ANIBot does have the upper right. ANIBot would love to secure this location, but it's got to kill that Nexus first, and if it can, then these two bots will have an even number of bases, which would be bad for Deimos, as Deimos is trading worse than its opponent. The trades for Deimos are trending upwards, as the mineral gap between them has remained 10,000, so it's actually improving over time for the Protoss. Maybe as these upgrades roll, maybe as it just keeps the supplies as low as possible. The Immortals are definitely doing lots of work against those Cyclones. Deimos, however, will not save this base from this one Marine. It's just constantly being engaged here, not sending anything out to handle that, so that Nexus does die. We'll see if ANIBot is able to secure that, or if Deimos will attempt to rebuild it, because whichever bot ends up with this base could very well win the game. Deimos is now getting aggressive, but there is so many Cyclones here for ANIBot, as it's got the defender's advantage going for it. These Immortals are getting locked on. They can fortunately survive quite a few Cyclone shots, and the Immortals have such high damage that they are able to pop off usually at least like one Cyclone before they die, which is nice. We do have the Tempest retreating, Stalkers trying to buffer for them, and they're actually doing a phenomenal job as the Stalkers retreat with the Tempest. So a lot of Vikings diving on in there, but then still there's all these Cyclones on the ground causing problems as Deimos falls down in supply. ANIBot climbs. The Cyclones are now able to find a base down here. This is disastrous for the Protoss, as yeah, Deimos is having a very tough go of it right now. We're getting 4 Immortals at a time, 7 probes to replace some of the ones that have died. Defender's advantage is very real in these games of StarCraft 2, though, so maybe Deimos, now that it's on the back foot, will be able to start taking some better trades. It does resecure up this location, which is very important, particularly since it's losing this one. And yeah, can Deimos stabilize? Can it get out enough units? We've only ever seen it get out like 2-3 Tempest at most. I think it's actually only been 2 that I've seen together. If it had been able to get out like 4 Tempest, I think it would be doing better. Look at that Immortal, though. Not quite able to get the Cyclone, and it's just one of those damned if you do, damned if you don't things when you're just a single unit against a bot-controlled Cyclone, because that Cyclone just runs away. There's even a scan to try and get more damage done. Looks like Deimos has lost yet another base, though. Its supply is now half that of its opponent. We're getting Thors out of ANIBot, which are not going to do well against 6 Immortals, which is all of Deimos' army, but it just might not matter at this point in the game. The red Protoss is in a death spiral, the Immortals are all dying, and I think we've got another ANIBot victory with these Cyclones here, as it just does very, very well with this composition. It's a tricky problem for the Protoss to solve. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe if Deimos did keep trying to build more Phoenix, something like that, turtle more till it gets up more Tempest or something. It really is a difficult problem, as these Cyclones are very, very strong in the hands of bots. Ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this one, click that like button, leave a comment down below saying more bots, subscribe to the channel, and yeah, if you want to support these daily casts, consider becoming a YouTube member. It goes a long way. And yes, well done. ANIBot was right with its 95% confidence, apparently. GG.